Hi guys, Ethan and Kat here. This week we have another You Ask, We Answered. We have with us
Bob Owens from Lone Duck Outfitters and Kennels.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Glad to be here, you two. Thank you for having me.
We are at SHOT Show this week, and we had a great opportunity to sit down with this awesome guy and again, answer your questions. So without further ado, we're gonna get started.
Okay, so I'm gonna be pretty much reading some questions. These guys are gonna be filling in on the answers, and I'm gonna jump in and tell you when they're wrong. So, first question from Instagram, DB_Devonly. Tips on getting your pup to hold versus mouthing birds, and will we be doing a video on this?
Okay, so I can start with that. First of all, tips are going to be formal retrieving work, and we can't stress this enough. Going through all of the steps, there is no halfway. You have to teach everything from hold to fetch to finish work. We use the table. Tables are not required, but you go from table work to ground work and so on. What is your take, Bob?
Completely agree. How can I ask a dog to do something that it doesn't know yet? So I've got to teach first. So they call it the trained retrieve. I call it force fetch. It's just a process where I teach that dog how to hang on to something, how to be comfortable hanging on to something, and then learning how to turn pressure on and off and getting praise in the end for complying. And that should ultimately help with chomping, rolling.
It's gonna get rid of all of it.
Yeah.
It can. It can.
Yeah.
I mean, the chomping could also be genetic as well. I've seen some breeds that are more likely to be tougher on a bird. So that is another aspect that we don't know what kind of dog you have, but that trained retrieve force fetch is gonna help.
Good question.
Next question, which this one's a good one. I'm excited to see what these guys have to say. So from Instagram,
got this.
LW_4H_press. What is your favorite thing to train a dog? And do you know how to get a dog more strong on their point? So there's a lot of background noise. We're at SHOT Show, so hopefully you'll be able to hear most of our answers.
I would say my favorite thing to teach dogs to do would be the advanced aspect of stuff. I love taking a dog to that finished, polished level, and with our short hairs, that's gonna mean steadiness. Steady to wing, shot, and fall is a pretty thing to watch, and when you put two dogs to run as a brace, and they're backing, they're standing, and you don't have to worry about any of it, I absolutely love finishing a dog to that level. As far as
How to get a dog more strong on point.
I have short-term memory loss. No. How to get a dog stronger on point. It kind of goes hand in hand, I guess, with what my favorite thing is to train, but it's gonna be repetition and consistency, but firm understanding of WAWA is the key to steadiness, in my opinion. We do a lot of the teaching of steadiness without actually understanding WAWA. We do it by developing a dog's natural ability, but when it comes down to standing for longer amounts of time, WAWA training is the key.
I also want to jump in and say that I think that a dog will become stronger on point with WAWA training involved when they have more confidence in what they're doing. Pushing a young dog to be that level of steadiness too fast can just cause more issues where dogs are unsure of what they're truly supposed to be doing out there.
Mental maturity is huge.
Absolutely. I would say my favorite thing is I like taking a young dog. I love doing the advanced work and I love teaching dogs blind retrieves and stuff like that. But I love that moment when the light bulb goes off in that young dog's brain and the natural instincts kick in and it's like, oh my gosh, I love swimming. Oh my gosh, I love birds. Oh my gosh, this is fun. And the light bulb clicks and you're like, now we're doing something here.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
My favorite thing, hey, I get to answer this too. My favorite thing to train dogs is probably brace work. I love working two dogs together or three dogs together and having them honor each other's points, honor their retrieves.
Boom, boom, boom.
Which kind of leads into more of the advanced stuff, but it's fun when you get young dogs that are super natural at backing too, come out for the first time and they see that other dog on point, they're like, boom, I'm backing that. Not really sure why yet, but I naturally want to do it. It's really fun to see that happen.
Super pretty.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Love working multiple dogs together.
Excellent question.
Okay, next question from Dakota.25. How do you introduce your dogs to their first birds?
We actually have a video out on how we do it, but we typically, with a young puppy, that would be a first introduction is a lot of times a dead bird that I'll just grab for a puppy out of the birds we've shot that day. and toss it. The other side of it, when it's a true session for them for bird introduction, we take a pigeon most of the time. We lock wings on that pigeon so that they're doing one without the flapping wings of, if they're pumped about that, then we go right to wings flapping. Let's see what you got for a prey drive. Let's bring that out. So,
absolutely. I'll do the same thing. A dead bird of some sort, pigeon, chucker, depending on the size of the dog, maybe start with a smaller size duck,
Sure.
hen mallard. And I'm gonna play with it and tease it and get that puppy extremely, extremely excited so that any like nerves that they may have about this thing go out the window because I've pumped them up. I wanna build drive and I wanna build it as a really positive, exciting thing.
Absolutely. I like the way you said that too, because I think that the average person gets too hung up on obedience and they feel like, you know, which obedience is important, don't get me wrong there, but there is a time and a place for it. And a young puppy, if they're jumping on you and they're pumped and all of these things are happening and it's their first bird introduction, none of that matters. They need to be pumped and excited about that bird.
Absolutely.
So teasing them and getting them that way is the best way to get it.
Definitely don't want to create apprehension around that bird at all. And if you're getting after your puppy for jumping at you, you can definitely taint that situation a little bit.
Right. The other thing I wouldn't worry about in my first few sessions is, let's say your dog doesn't pick it up.
Yeah.
Let's say you try and you're fired up and happy puppy voice and it's not doing it. That doesn't mean you have a bad dog.
It's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world. Put the dog up, put the bird up, try again the next day.
Absolutely.
Don't beat the dead horse and try it for an hour. Try it for 5-10 minutes and then put the duck away, put the dog away, try again tomorrow. And that dog will do it. Might take a week, might take the first throw. I don't know, but be patient with that dog.
Yep, 100%.
Definitely.
Great question.
From Grant A. Green, breaking it down, what is the most important skill to make sure your dog understands before heading to the field, and can this be taught to an older dog after the fact?
So my answer would be gunfire. You can't have a gun dog if they're afraid of guns. So there's so many people out there that have, you know, taken firecrackers or 4th of July or shot a dog over the dog's head just to see if it's gun shy.
Yeah.
Well, I would bet you more times than not, they're going to have a problem with that. So I introduce it when the dog's maturing. You know, I'm not doing it as a puppy. I'm maybe getting them acclimated to loud noises, but I'm not shooting a gun around a puppy until they've got serious prey drive, retrieve drive. I've built that, and now I can incorporate that at a distance. So I feel like if you have a dog that has never been around gunfire or guns, and I mean, you can't have a gun dog. So
You have no business heading to the field if they haven't had a gun introduction.
Absolutely.
And even to the extent, like you're saying, just to see, there is no such thing as a dog born gun shy. All of it's created, whether that be from a lack of socialization or improper introduction. It all can be created. And I don't believe that there's a dog born gun shy. So,
and I definitely get this
the question was, what's the most important thing before you're going to the field, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And can this be taught to
Gunfire
an
is
older dog after the fact? So I'm not sure if after the fact means after you've already gone to the field. Can you come back and introduce things? Well, yes, you can. Now, if you've gone to the field without a proper gunfire introduction and you caused a problem, you're definitely going to have a lot of work to fix that problem that you may not have had if you've been properly prepared for the field. And one other thing that people tell us that they do all the time is, oh yeah, I took my dog to the range, to the glacier, and I just had him in the golf cart or staked him out and just shot around him.
Don't do that. No.
Don't do that. That's a great way to cause a problem. Not every time. Some dogs are just so bold, so confident, and have been really well socialized that that's not going to cause a problem. But I would say that situation is much more few and far between than the opposite, where you're going to cause a huge problem that's going to take lots of time, money, energy, effort to get over.
So 2 things. First of all, I think you ask, usually what I've heard is you ask 10 dog trainers a question, you get 10 different answers. But I would say that would be one that probably is not disagreed with by anyone, that taking your dog to a gun range to introduce them to gunfire is a bad idea. Yeah. Now, as far as what's the most important, in my opinion, it's more of a 3-part thing. You need to have a dog, 2 parts at the most. They need to be introduced to birds so that doesn't cause bird shyness. They need to be introduced to gunfire. That is huge. But then the last is, you got to be able to have that dog that's going to actually come back to you, or you're going to be able to get a hold of them. So you need those 3 things, in my opinion, in order to be able to take your dog. If they'll come back to you, they're good with birds and gunfires, go have fun.
I agree.
Agreed. I don't know how many times I can say that. that I agree with you on everything.
We're gonna say it 1,000 more times. Yeah.
So next question from Tom J. Klusner. Tools to use to teach pointing besides live birds.
So I kind of chuckled.
We reviewed a few of the questions prior to just rolling with it to make sure that we were all on board with answering some of them, because you gotta agree once in a while.
Sure.
But it's a really hard thing to expect your dog to learn how to point a bird without a bird involved with that. But we definitely understand that there's times that it's difficult. You live in town, you don't have access to birds, but there's a lot of ways that you can gain access to those live birds.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
So one resource that I tell people all the time is if you need live birds, Craigslist, you can most of the time find somebody that has pigeons for sale on Craigslist. You might have to drive to go and get them. They're usually $5 to $10, I would say.
Yeah.
So pigeons, that would be a great way.
Yep.
And then I always send people to this place called zgamebirds.com. Z is in zebra, gamebirds.com. And they'll send you quail, chucker, pheasants, all in the mail. So they send it to your post office. You go pick it up at your post office and you got birds. But then oh yeah, dude.
Mail ordered birds.
You learn something new every day.
I know. So, but you had an awesome point that I know, but I didn't even think about it with clubs,
Yeah, your
retriever
local
clubs, pointer clubs, NAVDA, all that stuff. They're gonna have training days. These people, if they live in a city and can't have a pigeon coop,
Yep.
they could go once a month, every other Saturday or something, and then you're gonna make friends that might have
access to the grounds or the property or the birds that you need, and you can network and just go out there and work with your dog with the birds.
Absolutely.
The one thing that I would discourage and that we see quite a bit is wing on a string to develop some kind of pointing instinct. Yes, it brings out a dog that points, but ultimately it's just sight recognition. And as the years have gone on with our short hairs and pointing dogs, they become much more visually oriented because of the environments they live in and the breedings. When you breed for versatility, you breed for retrieving ability, and I would beg, this is a great question for you. With your retrievers, would you say that they use their eyes or their nose more naturally?
We want a dog that will mark a fall area, go to the fall area, and then hunt intelligently with the nose.
Yep.
I don't want that dog hunting with his nose on the ground all the way to the bird. So I want them to have depth perception and confidence to go to where they saw it fall, and then that's when their nose kicks in and they stay in that hunt area and find it.
So you're gonna say, my assumption is with that on average, you're breeding for visual orientation.
They've got to have
They
good
have to
eyesight.
have the nose, but they need to have eyes.
Yep.
So the more that I see pointing dogs being bred for versatility, the more that there's a big push for that, the more that they move toward that eye game.
Yep.
And then if we put emphasis on that with a wing on a string pointing game, then they're out there pointing blades of grass and leaves and bugs and non-important things. And it takes time to actually develop a dog that will use their nose to find a bird. So my recommendation is don't play wing on a string more than once if you want to get a cool picture of your puppy, but then put the fishing pole away until summertime for fishing.
Yeah, and a lot of people also say, hey, I got some pheasant scent, I put it on a bumper, I went and hid the bumper in the grass, and then I wanted to bring my dog in to point
it, yeah, no.
Or they say, hey, I got some dead birds in the freezer, I went out and I hid my dead birds, and I wanted my dog to come in and point those things. Well, we don't really want our dogs pointing dead birds. We want them retrieving those dead birds. So we don't want to put the emphasis on those dead birds. So you really truly need live birds, but there's ways to come about getting access to those if you live in town or don't have access to have them at your house.
And clubs are huge.
Clubs and apparently the post office.
Absolutely. zgamebirds.com.
That'll probably pop up on the screen down here or somewhere.
They never pop up, but we always point like there's stuff that's gonna pop up. Yeah. Just put it right here in the middle.
Okay, so this question was from Instagram, and it was asked on Bob's page, Shadox_44. How would you train a Boykin if you mostly hunted upland, but also hunt some waterfowl as well?
Okay. So for me, I look at it like I'm building this dog's skill level no matter what. So if you mainly hunt upland, he's going to use his nose. He's going to learn how to hunt and quarter.
Yeah.
He's going to use his eyes to mark the bird that you shot when he flushed it. Now for waterfowl, you know, they've got to be good with water. So at a young age, introduce them to water properly. And then we're going to build steadiness. So sit next to me in the boat canoe, on the dog stand, you know, on a log, whatever, and build steadiness where he's watching the sky and marking birds and going and getting them when sent, not breaking and whatnot. So truthfully, there's not much, I wouldn't train it any different.
Yeah.
They need to be steady. They need to be good with gunfire, birds, water, all that jazz. And so it'd be kind of an easy transition if you ask me.
So the only thing that I could probably add to that, and you may disagree with this, I try and ask what is going to be the primary focus, and that's what we're going to put.
Upland hunting is specifically their focus.
Yeah, but also want to do some waterfowl. Just understand that, I mean, there is no, you know, there's a master of, it's a jack of all trades, master of nothing, right? Or you can be a master of something. So if you want to have the ability to do it all, expect that there's going to be some give and take there. If you want a dog to be a perfect duck dog, which there's no such thing as perfect, but you want it to be the best at being a duck dog or the best at being an upland dog, that's where you're going to put the primary focus and then go, you've got enough of the tools that you can come along and not be a pain in the butt on the other game.
I agree.
And sometimes we've seen too with people that are interested in both upland and waterfowl hunting, and again asking what their primary goal is. But typically I try and get a puppy that's confident searching independently in the field first before I put so much steadiness and sitting right next to you emphasis on that, because it's really hard to get a puppy once they've had all that steadiness training next to you to feel confident moving out and hunting independently in the field.
Couldn't agree more.
And probably vice versa. So you put all the emphasis on running, you're gonna have a little more issue with steadiness, which is why
100%.
Pick that, what is most important to you, and understand there's gonna be a little bit of give and take with that on the other side. Awesome question.